In the early 80s, when I first started coming here, I came here alone, and I would teach for weeks at a time in the ballet program or in the jazz dance program, the modern dance program.
When Mark Morris was first here, he taught all the misfits. I mean, anybody that was too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, those were the ones he picked to teach.
The school aspect of this has always been important to me. I like that it can be a very intense learning situation for young dancers, and it's an opportunity to really concentrate. There's nothing else to do. That's wonderful. You're in the woods, you have to dance, that's it. I've met dancers here who were students and then years later turned out to be members of my company. A lot has happened. I haven't been here for 75 years, but it seems like it.
You know, it's funny the way memory works. You remember what you want to. I was with Pearl Lang's company. You know, Pearl had been with Martha. She came up, and there were, I don't know, a bunch of us dancers, and they put us in a little kind of log cabin down in the woods. And Ted Shawn would always have us around for meals. He loved to tell stories. So, as I remember, nobody else ever got a chance to say a word all through the meal. They were, you know, wonderful stories. It was like history speaking.
The connection that I make personally between the work of Ted Shawn and this work is his interest in breaking conventions about what can be seen, what can be performed, by whom and when and where. There are no boundaries. There's no set premise for a stage, that anything and anywhere can be that stage where one can express themselves through movement. And I feel like in many respects, his spirit lives in this piece, because this really is about breaking that boundary between, you know, the audience and the performer, and exploits the idea of mutual experience.
I think one of my mentors, Arthur Mitchell, said, I don't want to be a classical dancer, I want to be a classic dancer. I hope that just being a young dancer myself will give me the sense of what other young people today would want to see. It's not a question of getting the boards and patrons that already support arts to see the shows of today. It's getting their children to see shows. The MTV goers, the iPod users, the PSP users, the things that I play with.
When I was young, I did my first real ballet performance on a stage in Cincinnati. And I went out there and I looked out into the dark hall of the theater, and I could feel what I called the dust of performers who had been there before. It was palpable. I was only 12 years old, and I said, this is the world I want to be in. And I have that same feeling here at the Pillow. You know, when I came and danced here, we couldn't have done it without these people who came before us. How exciting for them it must have been, but how lonely also. You know, who would have thought that the Pillow would become the place it did? And I have that same feeling about the dust of people that were here before. And I'd like to think that I left some of my dust back in 1976, and that, you know, everyone that is here that dances feels that same way. If life were perfect, we would all paint. We would all play an instrument. We would all dance. But because we know that life isn't always perfect, we have to have dance. We have to have music. Remind us how good life can be.